Hello. Um, Something I'd like to share that's uh, based on some experiences I had today and that I've had, I mean, I can say recently, but the more I look back on it, it's like, how long have I been experiencing this actually? Maybe most of my life. A pattern that I go into, and it's related to the point of self-talk in the form of thoughts, the stories that we tell ourselves in our thoughts, in our back chats about ourselves, about others, about the things we experience. So what I noticed today, and this was really coming out full force today because I didn't sleep last night. I find when you're tired, when you're low on energy, maybe the energy you might need to distract yourself and focus on other things. It's like the the real sort of negative stuff that's very underlying in your mind tends to come out much easier. And it was prompted in an experience that I had with my partner. Um, Basically, what happens is that when I experience my partner having a reaction, I tend to go into fear. I tend to react myself. Um, and the tendency is to really want to escape and run away. And this really has been like a long standing thing. And what's fascinating is that when you're in, it's like a whole train of thought starts unfolding. It's like a seed in your mind that just starts opening up, and this tree is just like branching out within me. And so, it's the, at its base, yes, it's just a desire to escape and run away. But what happens in the way that it unfolds within me is I start having all these thoughts where it's like every memory I've ever had of every experience that is similar to this, that has triggered these same fears, like fear of loss, fear of losing the partner, and this subsequent desire to run away, they all start coming to the forefront. It's like every little memory that you store deep in your mind that you don't even necessarily know that you're storing and holding on to starts to unfold. And the justification for this pattern of wanting to run away is all focused on my external world as my partner, not actually focused on me, myself, with an understanding of how I'm doing this, how I'm creating this. And it's kind of like, um, you've heard people joke and talk about that before in their relationships, where it's like when a couple's fighting, it's like one person will start like bringing up every memory of something they think the other person has done wrong, or done that to them that's wrong, and starts using it against them. It's like almost like you're in a court case and you're building all the evidence against this person, why they're wrong, why they're the one to blame, and you're self-righteous. So it's basically that kind of thing, but it's all happening within me internally. So it's like I'm using every single possible memory as ammo to build up this case, to totally reason and justify why it is that I should, run away and essentially buy into this belief that the other person is to blame for what it is that I'm experiencing. When I know enough about myself to know that this isn't actually true. But it is fascinating because when I'm busy experiencing it, it feels extremely overwhelming. It feels so real. Maybe because of the fact that I've ingrained this pattern into myself so much. I've done it so many times in my life where I build up these cases, and I make this story up in my mind. Basically, I paint a picture of the story of what apparently happened, as where I'm essentially within a point of victimhood, and something or someone else is to blame, and therefore I can run away. But you can't ever actually run away from yourself. And I can see where this is sort of coming from. When I was a young kid, maybe like 3 years old or something, one of my earliest childhood memories is one of my parents becoming. We were out on a road trip. We were in the middle of nowhere, and one of my parents became quite angry at me, and basically like pulled me out of the car. I was like kicking and screaming, crying because I was so scared and not really understanding what was going on, and like pulled me out of the car, put me on the side of the road, and was like screaming at me, threatening to make me walk home. Now, as a 3-year-old, you don't know the difference. You don't know, you don't understand what it is that this other person is experiencing. So these words, for all you know, are real, and that's not to justify holding on to this memory and feeding it and fueling it. It's or to blame any other person. I can understand where my parents are coming from, but I can see how it's sort of had me live in this pattern where it's like I want to protect myself from ever reliving this experience of feeling like something is being done unto me, feeling like I'm being betrayed and I don't know why, and like I don't have any control over the situation, over myself, because I'm not understanding what's going on. And so it's like you just sideswipe every opportunity to be able to like look at things and like understand what's actually going on, just here practically in common sense, and just give into this desire to escape this memory, to escape this fear, and not have to relive it. But that's impossible. You can't run away from your memories. You can't run away from yourself. You can only start understanding yourself sufficiently to be able to stop yourself from re-engaging this pattern, and prevent the havoc it can wreak in your life, and forming solid relationships, healthy relationships with people. And what it really comes down to is I would prefer to not have my fears and my memories and my past control my ability to actually just simply be here with others, and quite frankly love more unconditionally, instead of just having your love be based on your fears, where it's like, I love you if you act this way. As long as you act this way, I will continue loving you. But as soon as I feel threatened and I feel this fear is being activated within me, it's like, run away. And so it becomes a cycle where you're fearing other people not loving you, not loving and supporting you unconditionally, but actually you're holding on to this fear that has you not loving and understanding and being here with other people unconditionally. So yeah, still have work to do on this subject. It's something I have to be patient with, because it's like it just keeps coming up, and no matter how much I keep like looking at it or chipping away at it, it's like, oh no, it's still here, it's still coming up. But it's well worth stopping. You know, it's like you don't want to live this way forever. It's well worth putting in the work to stop this thing. So I can't say I can give like a conclusive point of advice, as I'm still working my way through this. Other than, you know, we should work through it through using practical tools like writing about it, talking about it, vlogging about it, you know, doing study of other people and cases who are working through similar points. And perhaps you know, physical touch and doing things to ground yourself when you are going through such reactions can be very supportive in stopping these points. For instance, I found that something as simple as a touch is like a hug, like a full on big committed, you know, unwavering embrace of, you know, I've been sort of testing this out with my partner, but it's like when I find when I do that, when we're going through these experiences, sometimes it kind of has a way of diffusing everything. It's like you're just saying like, I'm here, you know, I'm not up here, out there somewhere, busy isolating myself, cutting myself off from being connected, and just demonstrating physically and symbolically through touch, through a hug, that I'm here. This is where I want to be. This is where I will stand and remain. So, yeah, testing that out and still working through this point. So, I suppose that's all for now. Thanks for listening.